It's news time! This is the update for August 3rd, 2014.
Update required.
Crytek has been struggling to stay alive for the past few months, and it's more clear now than ever. Announced on Wednesday, July 30th, Crytek has sold their upcoming title, Homefront: The Revolution, to none other than Deep Silver. After THQ's closure, Crytek had picked up the rights to Homefront in hopes of turning the game into a series after THQ ended up closing down in 2013. Homefront, a FPS released in 2011, took place in a Korean-occupied United States in the year 2027. The game had some mixed reviews upon its release, but it did actually spawn a novel through THQ's advertisement campaign. Deep Silver themselves had already taken a piece of the THQ pie when they acquired the rights to the Saints Row series, so it's not all that surprising to see them go after Homefront as well, even if they did have to wait a while to get their hands on it. It's been confirmed that development of the game will continue in Deep Silver's Dambuster studio, and it was also revealed in a quote from Crytek that on completion of the acquisition by Deep Silver's parent company, Koch Media, Crytek's Nottingham team that had been working on the game will also be moving over to Deep Silver as they continue their development. This isn't the only news from Crytek this week though, as they've closed down their UK studio and moved development of their upcoming game, Hunt: Horrors of the Gilded Age, from Austin, Texas to Frankfurt, Germany, due to a sizable downgrade of their Austin studio causing many layoffs. Crytek has stated that anyone affected by these layoffs will be invited to apply for a new position in Germany, but Germany is definitely a far distance away from Austin, Texas, so there's no way to know how many employees will actually be able to move over to Frankfurt in order to continue development of the game. Crytek CEO Savat Yurli had this to say about what's been going on. As we look to cement Crytek's future, this strategic deal with Koch Media will allow us to continue our ambitious goals to become an online publisher. With Warface, Arena of Fate, and Hunt, we believe we have the perfect portfolio and teams to make that happen. We would like to thank all of our staff, past and present, in both Nottingham and Austin for their contributions to the community, and we wish all the very best to anyone who may no longer be under the Crytek banner moving forward. Crytek isn't the only game company currently offering layoffs to its employees, as UK-based publisher Mastertronic has been forced to cut its staff by 40%. Earlier this year in February, the company had already been forced to close down its business in retail games, but things have failed to get that much better. With threats of liquidation coming from its investors, the company closed down its headquarters in Cambridgeshire, along with all of the layoffs as part of a company voluntary agreement with its creditors. This agreement was designed in hopes of settling Mastertronic's debts by asking creditors if they would be happy to receive only part of what's owed them instead of the chance to not receive anything at all. Originally created in 1983, Mastertronic has gone through multiple iterations, including mergers with Virgin Interactive, as well as Sega, before the company was rebuilt in 2004 as Mastertronic Group. The group currently consists of 4 businesses: Mastertronic Games, Just Flight, The Producers, and Get Games, and has recently published such games as 10 Second Ninja, Tangle Fiesta, and Concursion. These problems within Mastertronic could be very much problematic for many of the small teams developers that it's currently working with, as many of the published games by these developers are still in Steam's Early Access program, meaning that they actually aren't finished yet. On February 13th, 2013, Sega released the first-person shooter Aliens Colonial Marines, a game that quickly gained attention by widely varying from promotional material, be it demos or trailers, released about it. Gamers weren't shy about their feelings for the game either, as it was panned by both players and critics alike, pretty much across the board. Things even went so far as a lawsuit being drawn up against both Sega and the game's developer Gearbox. While Gearbox had initially waved off the lawsuit, saying attempting to write a class action lawsuit out of a demonstration is beyond meritless. We continue to support the game and will defend the rights of entertainers to share their works in progress without fear of frivolous litigation. While that was their thought process at one point in time, Gearbox has now filed a motion requesting to be completely removed from the lawsuit altogether, stating that Gearbox never belonged in this lawsuit. Gearbox is a video game software developer. It was neither the publisher nor seller of the video game at issue. For more than a year, Gearbox has quietly abided the plaintiff's claims so that Sega, the game's publisher and the party responsible for the game's marketing and sale, could assume the defense of this lawsuit. Gearbox has honored its publisher's request in spite of the plaintiff's highly publicized and highly misplaced claims against Gearbox. At this point, however, Gearbox is obligated to pursue its rightful departure from this case. Gearbox Vice President Steve Gibson even went on to write up a statement saying that all aspects of marketing and distribution fall under Sega's absolute discretion, putting any and all blame of mismarketing solely on Sega themselves. So this really brings up the question if Gearbox is actually free from wrongdoing, and is Sega really the only one at fault, or is Gearbox just throwing Sega under the bus in hopes of saving itself? It's been a while since we talked about our should-be pillow manufacturers Ubisoft, so let's talk about Ubisoft. Michel Ancel, creator of Rayman and Beyond Good and Evil, has created his very own indie studio. The new 13-man Wild Sheep studio is based in Montpellier and said to be working on a new project that will be shown off sometime soon. Even though Ancel has created his very own company, Ubisoft has confirmed in a statement that he is still working with them for the time being. In addition to spending some of his time on his new venture, Michel is leading the creative development of select projects in Ubisoft Montpellier, including an extremely ambitious new title that is very close to his and the team's heart. It didn't take long for the internet to start buzzing about just what the new ambitious project could possibly be, and how there's a chance that it could actually be the long-awaited sequel to Beyond Good and Evil itself. Back in 2008, a trailer for a sequel to the game was released, but the game has been stuck in development ever since. After being pressured for some kind of a statement on what this new title was, Ubi confirmed that Ancel is working on a new Beyond Good and Evil, and released this statement to Eurogamer. In many ways, Beyond Good and Evil is an inimitable game. It appeals to all generations of gamers and is an inspiration beyond many of Ubisoft Montpellier's past and future games. It's still far too early to give any details about this new title, but what we can say is that while Michel and the team at Ubisoft Montpellier are working with the core tenets of Beyond Good and Evil, they're developing something that aspires to push past the boundaries of a proverbial sequel, and leverages next-gen technologies to deliver a truly surprising, innovative, and exceptional game. The entire team is excited about the direction this extremely ambitious project is taking, and we'll have more to share later as it progresses. As great as all that sounds, ambitious projects fall apart all the time, so there's no way to know exactly what this news will lead to, or if it will even lead to a full game release. There's also no way to tell how long it could take to develop such a game considering Ancel's priorities with his new company, Wild Sheep. And I find it weird that he would go to create his own studio just to continue to work for Ubisoft at all. It may just be the case that Ancel wasn't able to get the rights to Beyond Good and Evil from Ubisoft to be able to make it on his own, but in reality, we really can't say. The only thing that we do know specifically is that something is happening related to the series, and for fans of the game, that's a good start. Some moviegoers were surprised Thursday as they sat down in their comfortable chairs ready to watch Marvel's newly released Guardians of the Galaxy. It was reported by both ABC News and The Hollywood Reporter that Regal cinemas in multiple locations ended up accidentally showing Rise of the Guardians, an animated DreamWorks film from 2012, instead of the Cosmic Crime Fighters. After 15 minutes of previews and 5 minutes of film, a Regal cinema in Virginia attempted to fix their mistake, only to replay the exact same previews in the exact same incorrect film, and then played the wrong film again after a second attempt to fix the problem. A similar incident also happened in a New Jersey theater, and it seems that all patrons affected by this mix-up have been reimbursed for their tickets. Regal responded to the mix-up in a tweet saying, "We hope things went better today. We're very sorry, and there are no excuses for what happened last night." And now, films with similar names. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, a 2005 action comedy about two married assassins, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, a Alfred Hitchcock film about a couple who find out that their marriage isn't actually valid. The Seventh Seal, a 1957 Swedish drama fantasy about the Black Death. The Seventh Sign, a 1988 film about signs of the apocalypse connected to a mysterious wanderer. 28 Days, a romantic comedy featuring Sandra Bullock. 28 Days Later, a post-apocalyptic horror film set in London. War Games, a 1983 film about a young hacker who almost starts World War III. War Games, a 2011 horror film about teenagers and sadistic ex-soldiers. Broken Arrow, a 1950 film starring Jimmy Stewart making peace between settlers and Apaches. Broken Arrow, a 1996 film starring John Travolta about terrorists stealing nuclear warheads. Today's featured channel is Carl Doonan. Although his channel lacks much in the way of content, he makes up for it with both funny and entertaining animations. Carl's animations have a great sense of timing that really helps them liven up their comedy. Well, that's all I got for you guys today, so be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the news. I also do other videos on other game-related stuff on my channel that you can check out. And remember, you've just been updated.
Update complete.